G-Man Boxing. Do you know what I mean? Every single live he donates. I see him on other lives donating. He's got the bag on it.
Alright, people. Review of the week time. Boy, this is going to be fun. So, I mean, obviously the main talking point has to be Joyce Zhang. We will have a little discussion about that fight and what I think both guys do from here. I mean, it's a bit of a head scratcher really for Joyce where he goes from there. Now, I'll talk about that more in a sec. Let's just review, I should say, the undercard in its entirety. So I only seen a handful of fights. Now I'm surprised they put Denzel Bentley versus Kieran Smith on so early in the card. Frank Warren has had a tendency to do that over the years. I remember Zalani Tete many years ago now, I think it would have been 5 or 6 years ago, was defending, I think it was his bantamweight title at the time. But it was that fight where he got the 13-second knockout. And you would think that having a world title fight, you know, on the undercard, you'd have it as a co-main. But he had it really early in the night. The arena wasn't even, when I say it wasn't full, I mean it was the hardcores who were really in there, you know, when it opens. They were the only ones there. And they did something similar. This was on early. So Denzel Bentley fought Kieran Smith. Now, I have to say, first round knockout loss for Kieran Smith within 45 seconds. Again, it looked bad, but that's not a damning indictment on Kieran Smith on how bad he is. He was caught with a really good shot by a really good fighter in Denzel Bentley and was taken out in a round. You know, for me, you know, that Kieran Smith, he's not at Denzel Bentley's level, but it's better than that fight suggests. Whereas Denzel Bentley, I mean, I'm seeing him go from strength to strength to strength. You know, that Felix Cash fight was so bizarre. Because I've seen Denzel Bentley, okay, against Linus Adofia, he did look a little bit, how would I say it? He looked a bit shaky in that fight. You know, maybe it was the fact that that was his first real test since he had the loss to Felix Cash. I think he had a comeback fight or two, but they were against reasonably low level. That was his first real kind of step back up the domestic level ladder. He looked a bit shaky in that fight. When he came through it, he looked like a different fighter subsequent. And even when he had his world title fight, he'd done very well in that. And this fight right here, I mean, very sharp. Is a good puncher, Denzel Bentley. He is. Very fast. And, you know, him against Kieran Smith, it was easy. I would like to see him rematch Felix Cash. I would, because that was such a strange fight, you know. Going into that fight, I was favouring Denzel Bentley heavily. Very heavily going into that fight. And the way he just capitulated so early, for me, was strange. Felix Cash looked good in that fight, but the weird thing is he's not looked good since then. It's over 2 years ago. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch at this stage now, because Denzel Bentley's gone from strength to strength. Felix Cash won the fight, and he's done absolutely zilch since then. You know, he's pulling out last minutes of all these cards, and it's not the first time he's done it on the AJ card. He's done it before. So, very strange to see the careers, how they've gone. Saw Sam Oakes looking powerful again. I think he's, 11-0, 11 knockouts now I think he's only a lightweight or something like that, Sam Oakes. So, definitely be keeping an eye on him, and obviously young Moses Atelma. These were the only fights I got a chance to watch against Konstantin Dobyshenko. Atelma did what he needed to do in that fight. He started fast, never really put a dent in Dobyshenko, it had to be said. But he will have learned more from those 6 rounds than he ever would have blowing 10-0 with 10 first round knockouts within the first minute. It looked good on paper, but those 6 rounds against a tricky opponent like that, who's good at tucking up, who's good at riding the shots, we got to see what Moses Atelma is about. We got to see the foot speed, the movement, the ring IQ, the punch selection, the combination punching. I think a lot of it is there for Atelma. So although some people would look at that and say, well, I wasn't really impressed. Well, what was your perception going into the fight? I mean, did you think that Atelma was just going to blow this guy out of the water? Because I didn't think that. I thought this was going to probably be a distance fight, truth be told. Maybe he would stop, maybe he wouldn't. But when you've got a guy who's been in there with some names, you know, Eric Pfeiffer is a bit of a name. Obviously, Rudenko has seen better days, but we know who he is. And he's going the distance over 8-10 rounds. Then you kind of know this guy is durable. You know, Deontay Wilder, the 32 and 0 with 32 knockouts, sounds great on paper. You see the level of opposition, you're like, oh, right. I mean, a good example would be if you look at, there was another fight card that was on in the UK last night, which had Prince Patel on it. Now, Prince Patel is an idiot. He is a character, but he's an idiot. We know that. And he has a very, 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 very inflated, padded record. Just to put it in context, I don't have his box rec open here, but I remember this well. I remember when Prince Patel turned pro. He turned pro with Frank Warren. And he got a first round knockout in his pro debut. And I think he won his next 3 or 4 fights all on points. And then had a draw in, I think it was his 5th pro fight. So by the time he was, 5-0, he had a draw and only 1 knockout. At that point, Frank Warren threw him to the side because of obviously the infamous Barry Jones comments he made during Bunce's boxing hour, where he just had to go for no reason at Barry Jones. And Barry Jones is still sore about that. I can't really blame him, because Barry Jones was a former world champion. What the hell has Prince Patel done? Absolutely zilch before and after. And what he did is he went to Hungary and basically was just, he wasn't getting paid for any of them fights, because you pay to basically knock a journeyman out over there. And when I say knock out a journeyman, I mean they're basically just taken out of the crowd. They're not literally, but they may as well be. They're that poor. So he got a very, very inflated record. He's got something like an 80% knockout ratio, despite the fact when he was fighting in the UK early on in his career, he was fighting the journeyman level fight. The journeyman who all those people in those weight divisions would fight and would normally go the distance with and stuff like that. He wasn't putting a dent in them, right? And then the minute he goes and starts fighting really low level, his knockout ratio goes through the roof. But who was he fighting? I mean, you could get a crap amateur fight those guys, and he'd probably be 10-0 with 10 knockouts. So just bear that in mind. And the guy he was fighting last night wasn't any great shakes either. I had a quick glance at that fight. I think it was on Boxing King Media's channel. They were streaming it. Yeah, he didn't look at it particularly good. And Prince Patel, I mean, he's mentioning guys like Sonny Edwards would beat the living crap out of Prince Patel. Seriously. In terms of the main event, we obviously had Zhang, Joyce. As I said in the post-fight review, which is one of that post-fight review done very well, very well. I mean, if we could keep that going, I mean, that's a very good post-fight review. Nearly 15,000 views, 600 odd likes, 120 subscribers gained from it. Pretty damn good post-fight review, if I do say so myself. So, this fight, where do we start? Where do we start with both guys? Matchmaking that makes you scratch your head, because when Joyce beat Joe Parker, I remember at the time thinking, okay, he's interim champion now. He's guaranteed a crack at Usyk whenever that is. Best case scenario, he fights Alexander Usyk for a big payday. Worst case scenario, and is an even worse case scenario, he gets elevated to full champion without having to do anything. Alright, so for him, he was in the driving seat. Step aside money as well, potentially. So all he had to do was, if he wanted to stay active, just win. Not take any unnecessary risks. But of course, who would you fight? Well, obviously there's people out there with names, but have seen better days. Kubrat Pulev comes to mind. Him fighting Anthony Joshua, Derek Chisora. He's known in the UK, but realistically, no one's going to be picking him for the upset. Someone like that. Maybe a Jermaine Franklin. Even a Dylan White, who we're going to talk about later, could be potential options, because they don't really pose a serious risk. Now, when they announced Zhang, you stop and you think, oh, this is a guy who's only lost his last fight on a split decision. Many people felt that he won. Very, very, very big puncher. And yes, Joyce has a good chin, and he does have a good chin. But even still, extremely big puncher. So this to me was a case of, really? Do you really want to take this fight? Like when Dylan White got knocked out by Povetkin had been showing signs of decline prior to that. So you could kind of look at that and say, okay, I can see why they're taking it. And realistically, with Dylan White, he was overlooking Povetkin. We all knew that going into the fight. He was talking about what he's going to do after Povetkin without actually looking at the guy ahead of him. Was talking about legal action to get his Fury fight with Joshua. It's like, you haven't even beat Povetkin yet. Flip and beat him, and then you can talk about it. Oh, you got knocked out. Well done. Well done. That's what happens. Wasn't like with this. It's like Zhang is still alive. He's a live opponent. So is this a risk that needs to be taken? Evidently not, because Zhang obviously went in there and he beat the living crap out of Joyce, stopped him in 6 rounds. What does Joyce do from here? Well, me personally, obviously Dylan White was ringside, and this was before he lost, obviously, and he was saying, look, the Joshua fight's not going to happen. He wants a comeback fight in the summer, and then let's have Joe Joyce maybe in, the autumn time. Well, I still think that's probably Joe Joyce's best course to go down, because apparently he's got a rematch clause in place, and George Warren said that there's options on Zhang Zhang, which is a good sign, to be fair, if you have that, because obviously apparently he done 14 million views over there in China. Crazy, big name over there. And, a rematch, I can't see Joe Joyce having much success in the rematch. He's got to crack Zhang Zhang if he wants it at Alexander Usyk, and if Frank Warren is working with him now, maybe he'll push to have that. Maybe he'll push to have it in China. Who knows? If there's enough money there. In terms of White versus Joyce, I'd be still making Joe Joyce heavy favourite at this stage over Dillian Whyte. And for me, that would probably be the most logical fight for Joe Joyce at this stage, because it's still a big fight, reasonably speaking. Dillian Whyte is still well known. Joe Joyce is known out there. And, Dillian Whyte will be able to get a bit of needle going, as he is able to do. There's a bit of danger there because Dillian Whyte has power in the left hook. I think Dillian Whyte would get broken down and stopped viciously by Joe Joyce, even now, even still. But I'd still be interested to see how it goes. And I think for Joe Joyce on the comeback trail, because that was a damaging loss, if you're not going to go straight back in there with Zhang Zhang, which I would recommend against, someone like Dillian Whyte, I mean, what's there to lose really at this stage? And I think he'd beat the crap out of Dillian Whyte personally. I'd be making him heavy favourite against Dillian Whyte. So that's kind of what I got to say on that, I mean, to quote Dillian Whyte with TalkSport here, Joshua rematch does not happen. Joe is definitely a fight. I want the biggest fight. Joshua not fighting me. Fury not fighting me. Fury doesn't have to flip and fight you, you clown. Why would Fury fight you? He beat you. He doesn't need to fight you. You don't bring anything to the table, so why would Fury have to fight you? There's no reason for Tyson Fury to fight you. Fury beat the living crap out. Well, he didn't beat the living crap out. He stopped you viciously in 6 rounds. So to even imply Fury is ducking you, that's a silly statement to make. Very silly statement to make. Fury, you were his man the 3 you lost. So Fury, by no means, needs to give you another rematch. You haven't earned it. You got beat. So him against Joe Joyce, yeah, I think, look, I'd be picking Joe Joyce definitely over Dillian Whyte. Definitely. Dillian Whyte has power, tremendous power on the left hook. But I think that Dillian Whyte at this stage, his punch resistance is so shot that it's not going to take much. Apparently, one of the judges, amazingly, had Joe Joyce ahead going into the 6th round. How anyone could have that fight scored in Joe Joyce's favour is it's beyond me. It's beyond me. It really, truly is. So, let's have a look-see. Now, I see Benson on Twitter say that Joe Joyce versus Deontay Wilder, how would that fight play out? That'd be a very interesting fight, do you know that? The best left hand in the heavyweight division versus the best right hand in the heavyweight division. Deontay Wilder, definitely the faster of the two, the lighter of the two. Zhang Zhang, the stronger of the two, much stronger. Probably does take a better shot than Deontay Wilder, it's fair to say. That'd be interesting. Wilder can start fast, but he can also start slow. And unless he catches the opponent early, normally does tend to start slow, whereas Zhang is the opposite, he's a fast starter. That fight has fireworks written all over it. Who wouldn't want to see that? I did see, Team Joyce have confirmed they've not suffered any fractures to the eye. Joe Joyce went to hospital for a precautionary checkup. So, okay, he's all good in that department. Now, we'll move on from that because I want to address this one, right? So, VADA have confirmed that Joshua and Franklin both passed. I was going to say both passed. I don't know why that was. When you see VADA, you're just instantly thinking positive, but no. Both passed all their drug tests for their fight on April the 4th. Now, why is that so important? Why are we talking about that? Well, last week there was a rumour knocking about, and I had some people actually message me and say if I'd heard anything about it, which I didn't, that Anthony Joshua, the reason why he is out until December is to do with the fact that he's reportedly, or allegedly, or so the rumour goes, I shouldn't have said reportedly, allegedly tested positive with UCAD. Now, is that against the realms of possibility? I mean, anything's possible, but do I think it's true? No. Because, for one, that fight with Franklin went ahead. So if it was before then, you would say, well, they would have been that fight. The end of the day, if it was after the Franklin fight, well, one, I mean, why would he be failing after the Franklin fight? That makes no sense, because most fighters tend to fail in the lead up to it. If you're failing after the fight, it implies that you were on something in the ring, which is just, you will get caught if that is the case. There's no ifs or buts, you will get caught. You know, famously, Klitschko used to get tested after every one of his fights. That was the only testing he ever got. And by then, as many will tell you, it's pointless, because it's already pretty much been flushed out of your system. So if he failed after it, well, Jesus, I mean, that's, I just couldn't see it. And second of all, if he did fail after it, well, that's very quick for UCAD and the board to make a snap decision, and their punishments are quite severe. They're quite severe. They're not going to have someone out of the ring for 9 months. They're not going to have someone out of the ring for 6 months. They'll slap a 2-year ban. In fact, I think the 2-year ban is the minimum. So, again, where this whole notion that Joshua failed is beyond me. You know, it just, why people are coming out with that is beyond me. VADA have said that, and I know obviously VADA and UCAD are very different, but I doubt very, very much that that's the case, that Joshua has failed any test. I do wonder, why is he out until December? That is something I do wonder about. I theorise that it's just purely down to the fact that there's probably a big fight there with maybe a Wilder, a Fury, maybe even a Nusek again, who knows. And they're been told, wait until December before we make this fight. You can't have a fight in the interim. And Joshua and Team Joshua have said, fine, fair enough, not ideal, but fair enough. You know, at this stage we want the big fights. So I suspect that's mainly what it is. That's what I suspect. Jamal Charlo says he will return to the ring in June. 2 years. Remember that again. 2 years after his last fight. 2 flipping years. And he's still WBC champion. They haven't stripped him at middleweight. That's a joke. That's an absolute joke. The way someone could be out of the ring for 2 years and they don't strip him. And it's not like he was injured or anything like that. Out of the ring for 2 flipping years and he still retains that title. Unbelievable. And let me just explain it like this, right? As many of you will know, I don't have a lot of time for Tony Bellew, right? But when he was WBC champion at cruiserweight, when he moved up to heavyweight to fight David Haye, the WBC didn't play around. They were like, right, we're stripping you, but we're making you champion emeritus, or champion of recess, sorry. So when you come back down, you get a crack at it. But they didn't turn around and say, go and fight David Haye. And if there's a rematch, go for it. We'll put our belt on hold. They didn't do that. So it's one rule for them and another rule for D. You know? And obviously PBC seemed to have a very close relationship with the WBC. I mean, the WBC and PBC, you more often than not see PBC fighters fight for the WBC title to get highly ranked by the WBC. So, I make of that what you will. Liam Smith has stated that the Chris Eubank Jr. rematch seems back on the cards for June at the MEN. I still call it the MEN, the Manchester Arena. He added that they tried their best to make the Conor Benn fight, and I think the only reason it fell through, well, we haven't heard an official announcement that it has fallen through yet, but from what I'm hearing, it's looking likely it's going to be Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. in June with an announcement coming. Now, we often hear, and I think that we need to, I've gone to the stage where I take it with a pinch of salt, is that we often hear promoters say, next week there's going to be an announcement. We get the next week, there's no announcement. We get to the following week, there's no announcement. I would say that we're probably going to get Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. again. In terms of what Conor Benn does in the Conor Benn Chris Eubank situation, I really don't know. Like, I mean, he's talking about it being an issue with the British Boxing Board of Control. Would Eubank really care? Because I think at this stage in Eubank's career, for me, he just seems to be the kind of guy where he just wants to make money and cash out. So if there was an issue with the British Boxing Board of Control with his particular license, him going over to the UAE to fight Chris Eubank, I wouldn't think, or sorry, Chris Conor Benn, I wouldn't think Eubank would care too much if he was getting paid, you know, a good, very good wage. You know, I wouldn't think he'd care too much. So I don't know what's going on here, but Eubank versus Smith again, I mean, I'd watch it. The first fight was good. Do I think Eubank could be more competitive? Yeah, I do. Do I think he'd win? I'm not going to pick him, personally, to beat Liam Smith. But do I think if he makes the necessary adjustments, he has a chance of winning? Of course he does. You know, we saw in the third round of their fight, Eubank Jr., when he was starting to come together, how good he was in that round. He was starting to get late to Liam Smith with the uppercut. Obviously, the next round, we all know what happened there. But Eubank showed what he can do with someone like Liam Smith in there who just couldn't sustain and made too many defensive mistakes. If he's more tight on his defense, if he's a little bit more switched on, do I think he can beat him? Yeah, I do. But who's to say Liam Smith won't be better this time around? Who's to say that was the best version of Liam Smith we could have seen? Who's to say Liam Smith doesn't have more gears to go through? Wasn't a punishing fight for Liam Smith. Yeah, he had a bit of a tough third round, but he wasn't buzzed badly. He wasn't dropped or anything like that. And, you know, only went 4 rounds. So, for Liam Smith, I mean, everything's in his favour this time around. And if he wants to do it at a specific weight, I mean, he's the guy who won. You know, I'm sure he wouldn't do that. He probably would do it at maybe a 160 flat, or if Eubank Jr. insisted, maybe 161.5. I'm sure Liam Smith probably wouldn't mind doing that, but it's up to him. He's the one who gets to say he won. So that there's not been an awful lot of news coming out over the last few days in the sense of boxing. So I'm gonna probably leave it there. Probably a shorter review of the week than we're used to seeing. I don't even think I've hit 20 minutes. Maybe I have, but a shorter one than we're used to seeing. I was gonna go live this evening, so I'm going to premiere this instead, but I was going to go live this evening. The reason I'm not is I'm just going out with my friend instead. I just want to go with my friend, so that's what I'm going to do. But we'll go live tomorrow evening, about 7, half 7, give or take, whatever time I get home at and have some food. We'll chat about this then. For now, lads and lasses, I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. Thanks as always to the Hiccup sponsor from the video. I hope you all have a fantastic week.